I asked a friend of mine, what should a black man do if ever stopped by the police? My friend, a highly ranking police officer, said, do whatever the police officer tells you to do. I said, but what if the police officer's wrong? He said, do whatever the police officer tells you to do. Avoid the conflict. See, the police own the circumstances. You can work out the ethics later in court. It seemed like sound advice. Except for George Floyd, there is no later in court. He's dead. He was arrested, restrained, handcuffed, and choked to death by a cop's knee on his throat. 3 other guardians of the public order held George Floyd down as he was killed. I wonder what advice my friend would give after that. You know, people identify with George Floyd, mainly black people and concerned white people. They have their knees on all of our throats. We are all being choked. I can't breathe. I mean, not really. We have choices. George Floyd was immobilized, cuffed, face down on the ground. He couldn't breathe. He didn't have a choice. All he could do was beg to be allowed to breathe. He asked for his mother. You know, we are no better than those 3 other officers at the scene of the crime, accessories to murder, or rather, maybe like the bystanders, you know, eyewitnesses to the crime, asking the police for leniency while taking cell phone videos. Still, the primary offense isn't the lynching of George Floyd, but rather our compliance to white supremacist beliefs that generate these types of atrocities. Stifled by racism, breathing becomes very difficult. Most men my age or older know the story of Emmett Till. In 1955, Emmett and I were teenagers on the south side of Chicago. We all had family from Mississippi, the Mississippi Delta. And as is customary, every summer we would go down to visit that family. Emmett would visit his uncle in Money, Mississippi. He was kidnapped, tortured, and mutilated by a gang of white men. Jet, a black magazine, published a picture of his mutilated body. My mom forced me to go to the viewing. Thousands of us cascaded in front of Raiders home to pay our respects and to view the remains. His mom made sure the casket remained open so that the world could see what they had done to my son. Those desecrated remains in that glass wall casket remained in my nightmares well into my adult life. But the horror didn't end there. Because by the killing, there was a trial. A jury of 12 white men heard eyewitness testimonies, including testimony from Emmett's own uncle, Moses Wright. They viewed damning evidence, and it only took them a little over an hour to acquit the later self-admitted killers. One of the killers, Milan, said later in an interview, What else could I do? He thought he was as good as a white man. But the horrors didn't end there. You know, the killing of Emmett Till was just a straw on the backs that bore so many burdens of other oppressions. It was the catalyst that became the modern day civil rights movement. Rosa Parks said she remembered Emmett Till when she refused to give up her seat on that bus later that year. After seeing a picture of Emmett's mutilated body, an incensed and young Cassius Clay, later known as Muhammad Ali, said he was prompted to vandalize a local train yard to vent his frustrations. My friend and the leader of the Mississippi Summer of Freedom in 1964, Fannie Lou Hamer, said she used the memory of Emmett Till to help her in her work in the movement. She said that the memory of Emmett Till helped her to get through her fears. You know, the most compassionate thing I've heard in these most catastrophic times came from a sheriff in Flint, Michigan. He was trying to stop a group of BLMs from protesting the lynching of George Floyd and demanding the arrest of his killers. But he had hit a stumbling block and he didn't know what else to do. He did the inconceivable. First, he took a breath. Then, he took off his helmet. Then he put his riot control rod down. And then he joined the protesters. He showed us what we all need to do. We all need to remove our helmets, because when we remove our helmets, we see that we are all just like each other, humans in need of help. When we put our clubs down, we have to find alternative ways to communicate. And when we communicate, we find compassion, love, and understanding. And then we all need to just take a breath. Then and only then can we together move forward towards justice.